We are still piecing together what Nvidia's $20 billion licensing deal with chip startup Groq means for the broader chip industry at large. In case you missed it, this was a deal that was announced late on Christmas Eve, right before the holiday. And to break it all down, I want to bring on Corey Weinberg, our Deputy Bureau Chief of Finance. Corey, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here.
Hey, good morning, Akash.
Matching colors. We are still in the holiday spirit, my friend.
I think we're looking good. We got to keep up this look going into 2026.
I like it. I like it. Well, so look, Jensen Huang was clearly working right up until the holiday. There was this deal with Groq that was announced right on Christmas Eve. I want to get your analysis of it, but just remind us a little bit about the story of Groq, the company's history, how much traction the business was getting.
Yeah, well, first of all, Akash, this deal was, I think we put it in our story on Christmas Eve. It was a stunner. No one really saw this coming. I did not have this on my 2025 bingo card. The question around Grok, and yes, to take us back, this company's been around since 2016. Among its co-founders were Jonathan Ross, who started Grok after being part of the team at Google to create the TPU, the Tensor Processing Unit. And the idea with Grok, even back before the Gen AI craze and before the advent of ChatGPT, was they were going to build a chip that was going to be super fast and was going to beat Nvidia eventually at its own game. And once ChatGPT took hold, the company really was sort of taking to the world this message that its chip was really good at inference compute. It was really good at running the AI models. If NVIDIA's GPU was good at both training and inference, well, Grok was going to be specialized for just inference. And so it raised a bunch of venture capital for this vision, but this deal was a stunner because no one really thought that Grok was really gaining that much traction against NVIDIA. Like, it was always this sort of
Right.
upstart competitor off to the side, giving it a good go. None of us saw a $20 billion deal coming towards it.
But they did have a chip out in the market that was getting at least some business from, I remember we were writing stories about the revenue it was generating in the Middle East and stuff like that from customers there.
Yeah, its biggest deal came back at the start of 2025. It started this year. It booked a $1.5 billion commitment from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to essentially, this was when, and it's still going, the sovereign AI was like the hottest, one of the hottest phrases. Countries are going to be building their own clusters to run AI models. And Grok really got, a toehold there. This was its biggest deal by far. But when you're talking about going against a giant like Nvidia, this is a tiny minnow in an ocean compared to Nvidia's
Right.
market.
Right. So, okay, let's get to it then. Why do you think Nvidia did the deal?
That's what everyone's still trying to piece together. Some things that have come up in our reporting so far, as well as some others, is I'm learning more about on-chip memory than I really ever have in the past. The idea with these Groq chips are they're supposed to be faster in part because they're handling both memory and compute on the same chip. Memory is often a commodity that NVIDIA has seen spiking prices for, and so is the rest of the market. And so the idea here is that if it puts the Groq TPU next to the GPU, it can have a memory advantage as it looks to expand, particularly the inference market. That's kind of the broader takeaway here, is that we've heard a lot over the past year about how the market for semis and chips are going to go from, this is all about training, this is all about building these clusters to train these LLMs, to now we got to spend a lot to run this AI as more and more people use it. And so, at the end of the day, people are talking about this deal as NVIDIA wants to strengthen its toehold in sort of the inference market and improve its technology there. And also it's seeing the spike in memory prices that Grok could help with.
So the structure of this deal is one that we've seen before. It's kind of this funny acqui-hire structure that has come up time and time again. Although this is, I think, the biggest
Yeah.
I don't know how many factors, but those deals, from what I recall, I mean, the character AI deal, these were all a few $1 billion. I wonder if you think there's a chance that regulators at all start to look at this anymore now that they're becoming so big. Or is it just the way that regulators are right now that it's like, whatever, we'll just let them keep happening?
I personally don't expect it. I mean, I haven't done a ton of extra reporting on the antitrust side as of yet. But I mean, I think if regulators had wanted to look more closely at this structure, they would have had plenty of examples to do so thus far, and we really haven't gotten much of a whiff of it, especially in the Trump administration. There were some rumblings about the kind of deal that Microsoft had done under the Biden administration, where you saw some rumblings about this. But look, I think Nvidia, Jensen Huang, and we should note some of Grok's own investors have often gotten what they wanted out of the Trump administration, particularly around this idea of there is a sovereign interest in the U.S.'s AI advantage, and Nvidia is a huge part of that. So, I'm sure their lawyers structured this deal in a way that would at least give regulators pause before taking action.
Let me ask you a question about these AI chip startups broadly. I mean, we have an entire database dedicated to these AI chip startups here at the Information, and we track, I think it's nearly 2 dozen of them. And we've seen rumblings of Intel looking at another chip company, Samba Nova. We obviously, you have reported very closely on Cerebros's or Cerebrus. I never know what the right way to
No
pronounce it
one
is.
does. It's a mystery.
Cerebrus. I mean, their journey to the public markets. I mean, the broader question I have for you, Corey, is as these chip startups appear to start to get acquired or acqui-hired, I mean, is this the end or the beginning of the end of these AI chip startups broadly and competing with the AMDs and the Nvidias and the Googles with the TPUs?
I mean, they never really were a meaningful
It's just a hope.
challenger.
It's just a hope.
Um, but I mean, if you're a venture capitalist, you don't need this company to become the next Nvidia. It's almost better, or at least it's faster money to get paid out pretty quickly in an acquisition by an Nvidia or an AMD or an Alphabet. And like, let's not forget OpenAI trying to build their own chip, ARM and SoftBank trying to build their like. There are a lot of people trying to get in the game of we want to reduce our reliance on Nvidia by either building our own chip or coming up with sort of another partnership that we, where we can offset that dominance. And so in some ways it's I would want to be in the AI infrastructure business still 2026. Like it's a good place to be. The other, sort of biggest of these license, sort of big acquihire type deals was Scale AI. That's also AI infrastructure and data labeling. It's a good place to be. People are still spending a ton of money on this. And whether it's, Samba Nova or Etched or Cerebrus, like these guys are probably going to have, at least in the short term, pretty good outcomes. Long term, who's to say?
Great. Well, Corey, I want to thank you for coming on. That is Corey Weinberg, our Deputy Bureau Chief of Finance here at The Information.